What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video from the Geek Pantheon. I am Eric, and today we are going to do the first of many to come deep dives on the subclasses featured in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. We're going to be taking a look at all of the 22 new subclasses, as well as the 5 reprints, because subclass deep dives are a new thing for the channel, and we missed out on them the first time they got printed, so we're going to do them now. But today we're going to be taking a look at my favorite subclass in the book, and you probably know if you did watch our Tasha's Cauldron of Everything review. I'll put a link up here and down there, so you can go check it out if you haven't yet. But we're going to be talking about the Paladin Oath of the Watchers. Now, the reason this is my favorite subclass in the book is the way that it perfectly pairs the flavor of the subclass in the text they wrote about it with the mechanics, and how those two things marry perfectly together to create something that I think is truly special. So first off, we're going to take a look at the tenets of this subclass and what kind of defines the character, at least in the eyes of the people that wrote it. And so the first one is vigilance. The threats you face are cunning, powerful, and subversive. Be ever alert for their corruption. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Just keep an eye out. The things that you're facing specialize in their cunning and their subversion of what you think. And that really is informed by the mechanics that we get with the subclass that we'll see here in a second. The next one is loyalty. Never accept gifts from fiends or those who truck with them. Stay true to your order, your comrades, and your duty. And the final one is discipline. You are the shield against the endless terrors that lie beyond the stars. Your blade must be forever sharp. So these three really encompass what is compelling about this subclass when put up against other paladins, and how it's not protect the innocent. It's not do right and fight evil at all cost. It is fight against those that would seek to corrupt in any capacity. And the endless terrors that lie beyond the stars, those things that do not belong on this plane of existence. And that's what we will see in the mechanics. So I'm going to go through level by level. So we're going to introduce the spells as they come in, but we're going to obviously start with 3rd level. So the spells that we get at 3rd level are 2 first level spells in the form of Alarm and Detect Magic. Both of these make perfect sense of understanding that you are going to be somebody who is hunted because you are a hunter. You are seeking out fiends, celestials, aberrations, and the agents of those creatures are going to try to stop you. And so having Alarm to where you can have a good night's rest and know that you will wake up if anything tries to come and get you is a good thing. And then Detect Magic. Obviously, a lot of these creatures have things that allow them to disguise themselves, like the spell Disguise Self. And so being able to detect when there is magic being used is great and makes total sense. Also at 3rd level, we get our Channel Divinity abilities. The first one is the Watcher's Will Channel Divinity, where you and anybody within 30 feet of you, when you use your Channel Divinity ability, get advantage on saving throws that involve intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. I love this. I think that the Unearthed Arcana version of this subclass gave advantage on saving throws for all saving throws, all abilities. And it's less powerful, but it's more focused. It shows that any paladin can pick up a sword and a shield and go physically fight and physically protect people from the things that seek to kill them. You seek to protect their mind, seek to protect their sense of agency, seek to protect who they are from outside influence. And so only having intelligence, wisdom, and charisma really injects that flavor. If it were all saving throws, it would lack that pop that comes off the page and says, yes, this makes sense for the type of subclass that we're building. So I do applaud Wizards for scaling back for the sake of making it more focused. And the other Channel Divinity ability we get at 3rd level is Abjure the Extraplanar. So once again, taking an action, presenting your holy symbol in the presence of any aberrations, celestials, elementals, fiends, or fae, you get to turn them for 1 minute. Basically, it's turn undead, but for extraplanar creatures. Now, at 5th level, we get 2 more spells, and these roll perfectly off of the previous 2 spells. We get Moonbeam, which any player that's gotten to use Moonbeam to its full effect will understand why it's such a good thing to have for this class. Like we talked about with Detect Magic being able to spot Disguise Self and stuff like that, Moonbeam, when it works, forces a shapeshifter to revert back to their natural form. And so if you have an entity that has the capacity to change its shape and you hit it with Moonbeam and it fails its saving throw and it reverts back, it's a much more powerful moment because with Detect Magic, your Watcher is able to point the finger and say, they're a fiend. But if it's a sovereign of a nation or a high-ranking member of the church, it's your word against theirs. But with Moonbeam, they are brought for all to see as who they are. So I really like that kind of natural progression from one spell to the next. And the other one that you get at 5th level is See Invisibility, which works well in terms of like Moonbeam and Detect Magic, but I actually think it works better as a natural progression from Alarm, because obviously Alarm, you're protecting yourself, and See Invisibility, if somebody's going to try to sneak up on you, invisibility is going to be a tool that they use. So if you're walking and you hear rustling or you swear you hear footsteps behind you, being able to use this spell, spot the agent of the Fae sneaking up on you, and send them running with their tail between their legs makes total sense for this class. And at 7th level, we get our Paladin Aura. This is the Aura of the Sentinel. So this is pretty straightforward, but works perfectly in terms of the flavor that we're going for, in that any creatures within 10 feet of you, including yourself, get to add their proficiency bonus to initiative rolls. You are vigilant, you are always aware of your surroundings, and that is reflected in how you communicate to those you travel with and your own initiative rolls. And at 18th level, it increases up to 30 feet. Now at 9th level, we get 2 more spells, and these become much more defensive. And I know that things like Alarm and See Invisibility are inherently like protecting yourself, but what I mean is this is, at 9th level, we're stopping magic from occurring in the form of Counterspell, which can have really epic moments. Now, it being used by a paladin means there is a ceiling on how powerful you can cast Counterspell. You're not going to be able to have the guaranteed stopping power of a wizard, but still, in a pinch, this will be a great thing to have. And you also have non-detection. And this makes sense once you're starting to build a reputation for yourself, once you're hitting 9th level. More and more entities that are seeking to influence the material plane are going to be trying to track you down and find out where you are so they can take care of you. And also, if you're going after a particularly big target, a really powerful celestial or fae, then being able to kind of mask yourself in magic to where you can't be detected through things like scrying while you're on this mission makes perfect sense. So I love the inclusion of non-detection for this subclass. And then at 13th level, we get 2 more spells. The first one being Aura of Purity. This one really evokes the more paladin aspect because it is an aura, but it still plays well into what we're going for of protecting people from these extraplanar creatures. Because Aura of Purity, the way I really feel like this spell plays into this subclass, though, is by granting advantage on saving throws against things like Charmed or Frightened, these conditions that entities from other planes are going to try to use to influence the people that you're protecting. Because it's anybody within 30 feet of you, you're holding the line against these entities that are trying to get to them. And then potentially you pop your Abjure the Extraplanar and send them running the other direction. And the other spell that we get at 13th level is the spell for this subclass. For the flavor, you have to take it, Banishment. It makes too much sense. And I'm not going to waste a whole lot of words talking about why it makes sense. It's pretty obvious. You have things that don't belong here. You're trying to send them home. Cast Banishment. Okay, before we go any further, I just want to let you all know if you would like to have more direct conversations with me in real time about the video or anything in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, I do stream live on Twitch every Sunday and Tuesday starting at 8 p.m. Central. So come hang out and chat. We'll talk about this subclass, D&D, or anything else. And also, we have a Twitter account at the Geek Pantheon, and right now we are celebrating the release of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything by giving away the alternate cover edition of the book. Wizard of the Coast sent this to me, and I want to pass it on to you all. So go to our Twitter account, follow the account, and retweet that tweet in order to be entered for a chance to win this gorgeous book. Honestly, I would keep it, except I don't have the alternate cover of anything else, and so it wouldn't match. So aesthetically for my bookshelf, I don't this would look too different. But that's good for you. So go to our Twitter account, like and retweet. We're going to be giving it away at some point today. And yeah, now at 15th level, you get a class feature called Vigilant Rebuke. This works perfectly with the Watcher's Will channel Divinity, where you grant advantage on saving throws involving intelligence, wisdom, and charisma for 1 minute. This is when you see a creature succeed on one of those saving throws, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, you can then inflict damage, 2d8 plus charisma force damage, on whoever forced that saving throw to occur. And there's one aspect of this that I really appreciate, and I'm reluctant to call it subtle, but it's very smart. And the fact that the damage type is force. We are a paladin. We are a divine class. And so the instinctual impulse would be to go for radiant damage because, we're a paladin. But remember, we're also fighting against celestials here. They are not absolved from passing onto our plane. And so I love that they made it force damage, because very few creatures have any kind of resistance or immunity to something like force damage. And so you're making sure that as an entity, you can truly attack and inflict damage on these creatures that will attempt to influence other people's minds, regardless of their alignment, regardless of if they're bathed in sunlight and glow like the dawn. Doesn't matter. You don't belong here. Go away. At 17th level, we get our final 2 spells. We get Hold Monster, which, yeah, makes sense. At this point, when you're at 17th level, you probably have a pretty hefty reputation about yourself, and people know that you're powerful. People know that you are good at what you do. And so when you come upon a Fae that's CR9, they're probably going to turn tail and run. And so your ability to stop them from escaping and then deal with them, it makes too much sense to not take this spell and have it be the 17th level spell. The other one is Scrying. You're hunting. You have become the powerful entity on the material plane, protecting it. And so whereas when we were lowly 9th level, we had non-detection, now we have Scrying. So we have turned the tables and we are peeking in on the things that we are hunting, not protecting from being looked at. And lastly, the 20th level Paladin ability. So obviously this is the one that kind of is transformative and makes us into this epic creature. And so the 3 things that we get are True Sight up to 120 feet, advantage on all attack rolls against aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, and fiends, and this is incredible. When you successfully land with an attack roll and deal damage, you force a charisma saving throw based on your spell save DC. And if they fail, if they're not currently on their native plane, they are banished to it. Now, an important distinction. You don't cast banishment. That's not what this is. They are banished. So there's not this whole you have to maintain concentration for 1 minute to make sure that they're actually gone. They're gone. They go home. Now, if they succeed on the saving throw, you can't do it again for another 24 hours, which makes sense. I mean, that's just game balance. But the other nice thing, and they've started doing this, I think we saw it with the Oath of Glory Paladin in Theros. You get it once per long rest, and you can also spend a 5th level spell slot to do it again. Now, obviously, your 5th level spell slots, Hold Monster is going to be useful. Scrying is more situational, but your other Paladin 5th level spells are heavy hitters. So there is a decision to be made here. But for your oath, for being an oath of the Watchers, the capacity to banish an outsider back to their native plane, I think is the best use of a 5th level spell slot. And that is the crunch of the subclass. We have gone through everything that is presented in the book for us in terms of the mechanics of the subclass. And once again, I think it just marries perfectly in terms of flavor with it. Okay, now on to the fun stuff. How do we play these characters? What does an Oath of the Watchers Paladin look like in your game? And I have a few ideas for the type of character that these Oath of the Watchers can be. The first one that popped into my mind when I was thinking about this is fairly obvious, I think, for those of you familiar with the A Song of Ice and Fire book series or the Game of Thrones television show, The Night's Watch. a organization dedicated to allowing criminals to forego the executioner's block to go protect the realm from the nefarious things that live north of the wall. You can easily take that concept of an organization, drop it into any fantasy setting, and call them the Watchers. When they join, they have to take the oath of the Watchers, vigilance, loyalty, discipline, and go from there. And I really like this concept. I think it could work well because when we look at the mechanics, and this plays into like what I was talking about with the Watcher's Will channel divinity ability. A lot of these things are very focused. Now, you're getting all the other paladin stuff. We can't get around that, and we shouldn't. It's a paladin subclass. But when you're telling this story, the Oath of the Watchers train their members to very specifically target outsiders. With your 20th level ability, you get an advantage on attack rolls against these specific creatures, not everything. And so the narrative can be, you are a dangerous individual. We don't want you operating in society any longer. You have the option, though, to go receive training, specific training, to go attack these outsiders that we don't want here. You have that option. We're not going to train you to kill everybody. We're going to train you to take these things out and send them home at best, kill them at worst. And so I like that story that the mechanics tells. And I really like that, and I think it could work well. Now, the next organization / character that popped into my mind, and this one was probably first as I was reading through it, of course, the Netflix show, the beloved video game series, the beloved book series, The Witcher, pops into your head when you look at this subclass of a lone fighter roaming the countryside, fighting extraplanar entities and sending them back to their native planes for whatever coin the nearby town can spare. And I once again think that this is a good way to get out of the typical stick in the mud nature that a lot of paladins can fall into, because your organization can't operate without money. We need to buy more healing potions. We need to buy poison for our swords. We need to buy swords. So we can't just go around and be goody two-shoes, like, no, keep your coin. It's fine. I don't need it. I do need it, actually, please. Yeah, I took out that fae that was enchanting the people of your town. So yes, pay up. I need it. And so I like that concept for the character. And yeah, I think that character could slot in with a lot of other parties really well. Same with the Night's Watch character. You could have the organization contract out their members. And so that's how you get into an adventuring party that doesn't belong to the organization. And so, yeah, allowing a paladin who isn't unwilling to let their hair down and be like, yeah, we can go to the tavern. We can do all this stuff. We can take the bandit's gold. I don't care. But if I catch you hanging out with a fae, we're going to have an issue. And having that be the line that they're not willing to cross. It's not some arbitrary morality thing. It's a very concrete, like, I do not truck with outsiders. And if you do, you become my enemy. And so I think that's a character that could play really well. And the last organization that came to my mind when I really sat down and thought, what's something different? What's something unique that we can do with the concept of this subclass and bring it into a D&D table that would be fun and engaging? And I landed on Ghostbusters. The idea of a group of characters dedicated to stopping extraplanar activity, but starting off at first level, they grossly undersell what they're signing up for. And, they're doing it because it's like, hey, we have this skill set. We could go make some coin doing this, traveling the countryside and be like, yes, we will take care of your fae and your fiends, and thinking that they're just going to have to deal with an imp or a pixie here and there. And as they level up, obviously the danger ramps up and they are not prepared for it. And having this like, oh no, run. We got to go away. Go. And I think that could be a really fun campaign, having these incredibly flawed characters who are not prepared for what they are signing up for, but they do eventually persevere. They do level up. They do gain these abilities and figure out how to stop this ultimate evil from invading the plane. And you could even have one character be the Venkman of the group who doesn't really buy into it. Now, obviously, it's impossible for them to say that other planes don't exist, but this notion that like the other planes want to invade the material plane, have you been here? It's boring. if you were an elemental on a plane of fire, why would you want to come here? That doesn't make any sense. And having the skeptic of the group be an Oath of the Watchers. And so he has all the skill sets, but he doesn't think he needs to use them. I think that could be a lot of fun. And the last thing I want to talk about is party composition. What are some other subclasses that could be put into a party with an Oath of the Watchers to create not only a cohesive group in terms of skill set, but a compelling story in terms of a campaign? Now, I'm only going to focus on the ones that are interesting. Like, there wasn't a rogue subclass that jumped out as like, yes, this pairs really well. So I'm not going to talk about a rogue. I'm just going to talk about the subclasses that pair really well. And the first one came from a comment on the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything review. And it was asking, like, what is the distinction between this subclass and the Horizon Walker Ranger? And I think that's a good question. And once you start to look at the mechanics and the story being told through what these characters can do, I think it becomes pretty apparent. But I do think they could work together in a campaign really well. So the distinction being, Oath of the Watchers, it's right there in their loyalty tenet. Never accept gifts from fiends or those who truck with them. We don't use the tools of the enemy. At all. Ever. Have no interest in it. The Horizon Walker does not agree. If there are powerful tools out there, if there's powerful magic to be used out there to protect the plane, then yeah, we're going to use it. Are you dumb? Why wouldn't we use that? Why wouldn't I hop from one plane to the other real quick and teleport around? Because you belong on this plane. This is where you belong. What? Who cares? So that's the type of interaction that you can get. Also, furthermore, it's explicitly said that Horizon Walkers befriend good entities that seek to protect the plane, and one of the things they call out is Fae. So they truck with the enemy in the eyes of the Watcher, anyway. That no, you can't consort with the Fae. They are not from here. They don't belong here. They have no interest in our affairs. Whereas the Horizon Walker will look at this celestial angel descending and be like, they obviously want to help. Like, why would you question this? And from the Watcher standpoint, you could take very much like Batman in Batman v Superman stance when he talks about Superman of like, this is an incredibly powerful entity that, yes, claims to want to help us. But what happens when they don't anymore? What do we do then? Because I'm not willing to take that chance. And so that's the interesting relationship you can get between those two classes and how different they truly are once you dig into the mechanics a bit more. And the last one is Cleric Arcana Domain. So this subclass has a similar ability where they can abjure extraplanar creatures. Celestials aren't included in their list, but the reason I like them is the magic expert, the one that knows everything, the one that can inform the Watcher of like, no. You see, you need to do this against this type of demon in order to exploit its weakness. You need to do this against this Fae in order to take care of it. I like the idea of having that hyper intelligent cerebral character next to the one that's like, no, we fight, we do this. And so you create this interesting dynamic between these three different subclasses. The Watcher being this adamant, like, we do not truck with the enemy, we protect the plane. The Horizon Walker being like, let's use their tools against them. And yeah, if they want to help us protect it, then why would we deny them that? And then the Arcana Domain Cleric being like, I just want to know everything. Like, I want to know as much as I can about these creatures. And when they reach for like the book from the Fae to read it, the Watcher slaps their hands like, no, stop it. So I like that dynamic and that potential party dynamic. I think that would be a lot of fun. So let me know what you thought. Did this video make you want to play a Oath of the Watchers Paladin anytime soon? And once again, comment down below with which subclass from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything you would like to see next. I will take a look and make a decision soon on which one I'm going to do next up. And thank you all so much for watching. I've been Eric, and I will see you next time.